Welcome to American History Chapter 6, The Expansion of American Industry, Section 4, The Great Strikes. In 1890, the richest 9% of Americans hold nearly 75% of the national wealth. This unequal distribution of wealth draws some workers to become politically active and embrace the idea of socialism. Socialism is an economic and political philosophy that favors public instead of private control of the means of production. In other words, the workers should run the wealth and distribute it equally.
Socialism comes from the book Communist Manifesto, written by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Most workers, though, do not embrace socialism and instead try to fight the system from inside the system.
Labor unions become the main weapon in fighting unequal distribution of wealth.
After the Civil War, strong labor unions resurface. The Knights of Labor is an early union that fought for equal pay, 8-hour workdays, and ending child labor. Samuel Gompers starts the AFL, the American Federation of Labor.
The AFL is a craft union. They only allow workers with skills to join. This helped promote higher wages. Skilled workers are valuable. Everyday workers aren't. So just by supporting craft workers or skilled workers, they are able to promote higher wages. They also fought for collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is a process in which workers negotiate as a group with employers. Employers fought back. Some of the things they did was forbid union meetings, fired union organizers, and forced workers to sign yellow dog contracts. A yellow dog contract is where new workers would sign a paper promising not to join the union. With the two sides competing with each other, it was only a matter of time before things got violent.
One of the biggest violent strikes is the Great Railroad Strike of 1877. Fought over wage cuts, it eventually affected the entire eastern seaboard of the United States. It became violent in many cities, and finally, President Hayes had to call in federal troops to put it down. This would be the first of many instances where government supports big business. Some unions are peaceful, though. The American Railway Union, founded by Eugene Debs, is created as an industrial union and actually advertises no strikes.
An industrial union is organized by workers from all crafts in a given industry. Today, the UAW, or United Auto Workers, would be an example. Unfortunately, other strikes began to rock the nation. In Chicago, Illinois, at the McCormick Reaper factory, a strike got violent when scabs tried to cross the picket line. Scabs are replacement workers who are called in to break strikes. Police intervened violently and left several workers dead.
The next day, a rally was called to protest the Chicago police at Haymarket Square. Someone, and to this day has never been found out who, threw a bomb into the police formation, killing one police officer. The police fired back, killing many. 8 people who were well-known anarchists were found guilty in an unfair trial for throwing the bomb. 4 were hanged, 1 committed suicide, and the last 3 went to jail. Several years later, all 8 were pardoned by the governor. Another strike was a Homestead Strike of 1892. It took place at Homestead, Pennsylvania at the Carnegie Steel Plant. The manager, Henry Frick, was told by an absent Andrew Carnegie to break the strike. Frick called in the Pinkerton Private Police Force, and a shootout ensued between the workers and the Pinkertons. Several people on both sides were killed. It finally ended when an anarchist not involved with either side tried to assassinate Frick. Because of this, public opinion turned against the strikers, and they went back to work. The last major strike was the Pullman Strike of 1894. Pullman built luxury railroad cars. He also built a company town for all of his workers to live in. He owned all of the small businesses in the town and even charged his workers rent. The problem started when he cut wages by 25%, but kept the prices the same in his company town. Eugene Debs and the American Railway Union called for a strike and a national train stoppage. Because the strike delayed the delivering of federal mail, President Cleveland used that as an excuse, and federal troops broke the strike. Again, government took the side of big business.
During the decades after the Civil War, industrialism produced a wide rift between the rich and the poor. Instead of turning to socialism, though, everyday Americans looked to the unions for wealth redistribution. Many of the first clashes between owners and unions became violent. Also, a trend was appearing. In these disputes, government took the side of big business. It would not be until the 1930s, during the Great Depression, when government would eventually take the side of workers in labor disputes. And that president's name was Fdr Franklin Roosevelt.